Imposter syndrome is just your brain's way of reminding you that you have a vivid imagination and questionable judgment. Hey all, it's Tony Volpicello, and we are the Career Jigsaw Podcast. Welcome back. This week's episode is all about imposter syndrome, that nagging feeling that you're not as competent as others think you are. We will explore how to recognize it, how to manage it, and how to move forward with confidence. Many of you have asked me to discuss this topic, so no time to waste. Let's get started. Did you know that the majority of employees in the workplace, including many CEOs, at some point or another, have experienced imposter syndrome? So is it bad? Can it hurt your career? Can it help it? Well, today we will discuss it. The goal today is to create awareness, to get you thinking. There's no college credits here, just a chance for you to self-reflect. And perhaps to understand it isn't just you. So I'm taking some license here, but in my experience, there are three types of workplace imposters. First is the one we'll talk about today, those experiencing imposter syndrome. Here, you don't believe you're as good as others think you are. You are what I call at a confidence deficit. Second is delusional or misplaced confidence. Here, you're not as good as you think you are. The commercial does not match the product. You lack awareness. You are with a surplus of confidence without the skill or performance to match. And then there's this third group, what I call competently average. You're not great, but you're also not bad, but weirdly effective at advancing your career. All three of these imposters have awareness issues that is somewhat detached from the facts and reality. Now, I will admit, delusional confidence and competently average drive me crazy. Why? Because sometimes others miss it and they get ahead when they shouldn't. But honestly, that's a conversation for another time. So let's get back to imposter syndrome. Many studies on imposter syndrome date back to the early 70s. For a deeper understanding, I would encourage you, based on your personal situation, to seek them out. I've discovered how this affects women and minorities at a greater rate. Upbringing and other environmental factors also play a role. Again, here's why I recommend you research more based on your personal situation. For many of you, this might be the first time you've heard the phrase imposter syndrome. So let's make sure we're all on the same page. What is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome, also known as imposter phenomenon, is a behavioral health issue that causes people to doubt their skills, accomplishments, and even their intellect. It can manifest as a persistent feeling of self-doubt and fear of being exposed as a fraud. People with imposter syndrome may believe they are undeserving of their achievements and the high regard they receive. In relationships, it can lead to feelings of being unworthy of love and affection. Some of the key symptoms include self-doubt, fear of being exposed, or downplaying your own success. And here's the paradox. It's not always just insecurity. It can coexist with real achievement. Here's where I see that it can be both healthy and or unhealthy. When it's healthy, it motivates you. It drives you. You maintain an edge, but you can enjoy success or the moment. When it can be unhealthy is when you're never satisfied. You're never really happy. Even when you achieve, you don't enjoy it. You discount it and you downplay it. So what I've learned in my homework on imposter syndrome is that it's your perception of reality, which more often than not is at odds with how others perceive you in the workplace. But let's be fair. How do you know if this is the case? Well, first, it's important to understand when and why it happens. So start to think about, what environment did you grow up in? What were you told? Does it originate from perfectionism or high expectations or a lack of representation or being uncomfortable in unfamiliar situations? Does it arrive during situational triggers, like when you get promoted or you transition careers or you start something new? And think about this example. Does it resonate? I remember walking into my first board meeting thinking, what am I doing here? That may be an example of a time it happens to you. Again, in my view, it is grounded in a bit of insecurity or in a fear of the unknown. And again, insecurity or lack of confidence can be a motivator if attacked in a healthy way. What might be important here is to better review the facts. Why do others see you better than you see yourself? Here's an exercise to help. If you were going to court as your lawyer to defend you, what would that case include? What are the highlights that you would put on your resume? You also may want to broaden your view of the facts. Outside of performance, things like likability or being a good teammate or being a strong developer of people are part of how you're viewed. Also, if your boss finds you easy to manage, this can also contribute to how you are viewed. Don't take those non-performance factors for granted. So that's a bit of why it happens, with one way to objectively assess reality. It's also important to determine when these moments occur. What are the triggers? Do you feel this way all the time or in certain moments? Understanding this can help you better prepare for what's ahead. One final point here. You will likely be in a first-time situation many times that will make you feel like you don't belong. Like the first time you walk into a boardroom. It's completely natural to feel that way. The opportunity here is to channel that self-doubt into preparation. I've always believed the single best way to increase my confidence is to double down on being prepared. So if tomorrow you're going to walk into that boardroom for the first time, what can you do today to be better prepared for it? Maybe better know the players in the room, research them a bit. What makes them tick? Maybe something personal about them. Or have icebreakers ready for small chit-chat. If you eliminate some of the unknowns, imposter syndrome will subside and Captain Confidence will emerge. Okay, now let's talk about why this matters. Well, since we're focused on the work environment, there can be an obvious career impact. If you have imposter syndrome, you already believe you aren't as good as others, and you probably don't believe you deserve the job you have. This could manifest into eventually holding you back because your lack of confidence has resulted in things like not speaking up, turning down opportunities, and maybe even burnout. The irony here is that people with imposter syndrome often over-prepare and over-deliver. So they are great employees who perform well, but they could be their own worst enemies long-term. Okay, now let's review 5 key ways you can recognize if you might be experiencing imposter syndrome. Number 1, you attribute success to luck or timing. So when you achieve something, do you downplay it or say it was just good luck or perfect timing or someone else's help, rather than attribute it to your own skills and hard work? Number 2, you fear being found out. You have a persistent fear that others will discover you're not as capable or intelligent as they think, even when there's no evidence to support that worry. Number 3, you set unrealistically high standards. Perfectionism is often tied to imposter syndrome. You feel that anything less than flawless is a failure. Even when you succeed, it doesn't really feel like it's enough. Number 4, you dismiss compliments or positive feedback. If someone praises your work, your instinct is to brush it off, cringe, or think they're just being nice. That could be imposter syndrome talking. And number 5, you compare yourself constantly. Whether it's colleagues, peers, or people online, you find yourself always measuring your worth against others and often feeling you come up short. So now on to the advice portion of the episode. How can you manage it? Here's a few ways. First, nickname it. Normalize it and stare it down. Make a joke like, oh, that's me being me again. For me, the nickname might be the Lighten Up Tony moment. But recognize it's common even among elite performers. Second, document your wins. Keep a confidence file or some sort of achievement journal. We often forget about our own accomplishments. This is a great practice for imposter syndrome, as well as for updating your resume or your annual performance review. So here's the action. Write down 3 things you've done well this week and own them. Third, redefine success and competence. Don't think about it like it's lowering the bar. It's more about making sure the bar isn't ridiculously out of reach. So think about it. It's all about progress over perfection. Number 4, seek out a mentorship, coaching, and peer support as ways to discuss it, get it off your chest, and most importantly, put it in the rearview mirror. Number 5, reframe those nerves as growth. If you're uncomfortable, it means you care. Embrace it. Let it energize you knowing it's helping make you better, not a reflection of you being an imposter. Here's some other ways to think about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not qualified. It means you care enough to want to be. Imposter syndrome thrives in silence. The more we talk about it, the less power it holds. So consider this. You might not be an imposter. You might just be unfamiliar with your own greatness. Okay, I need to detour here for a minute. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are 2 other types of imposters that drive me crazy. Since we're among friends, can we talk about them for a minute? So let's talk about delusional or misplaced confidence. Like really, how do these people walk around with the opposite of imposter syndrome? And I'm talking about the ones who aren't anywhere near as good as they think they are. They don't perform, they aren't great teammates, and in many cases, they don't even work that hard. I need to know, how does this happen? How do they pull the wool over their boss's eyes? And unfortunately, I've worked with quite a few of these imposters. But unlike imposter syndrome, they don't know or even think they are an imposter. They skate by. Help me understand this. Okay, this is more like a rant and less than advice and guidance, so I'll move on. So that second imposter we have is Mr. or Mrs. Competently Average. Average in performance, teamwork, etc. But somehow, they seem to fall and maybe even fail upwards. I need to know what the heck their secret sauce is. Have you ever heard about someone getting promoted and your response is like, what? Are you kidding me? I can name 5 strangers I would promote over competently average. What dirt do they have on someone? All right, I digress. I had to get that off my chest. I never said the workplace was easy. That's why it's not called the fun place. All right, back to imposter syndrome. Remember at the opening when I mentioned 3 types of imposters? Well, perhaps there is a 4th. So another thought occurred to me. There might be somewhat of an ounce of truth to you being an imposter. Meaning, perhaps people saw potential in you and are taking a chance on you, even though you're not fully ready or capable to take on this role. There's nothing wrong with that. This is where you can use your insecurity to your benefit. But it also means you have to prove to others around you that you were worth taking a chance on. This may be the reality. Facts are facts. Just because someone saw more upside in you and a bright future doesn't mean you are an imposter. But it does mean you have something to prove. So, prove it. Make those who doubt you wrong. Make those who took a chance on you right. One final thought here. Imposter syndrome is something that affects even the most accomplished professionals. It doesn't discriminate by title, experience, or success. But the key is to recognize it for what it is, a signal, not a sentence. It often shows up when you're growing, stretching, or entering new territory. And that's not failure, that's progress. By naming it, talking about it, and supporting one another, we can start to dismantle the silence around it. Remember, confidence isn't about never doubting yourself. It's about moving forward even when you do. You've earned your place. Don't let imposter syndrome make you forget that. If you'd like to research some more here, I did read a solid article from Forbes in 2019 titled 15 Ways to Overcome Imposter Syndrome in the Workplace. Great recommendations including becoming more self-aware, faking it until you make it, and befriending the insecurity. But there are plenty of other articles out there, and here's where ChatGPT is your friend. So let me see if I can wrap up this topic with a call to action that makes some sense. First, acknowledge the feeling. Recognize imposter syndrome when it shows up. It's common, especially among high achievers. Naming it takes away some of its power. Second, reframe your thoughts. Shift the focus from I don't belong to I'm still learning, and that's okay. Growth happens when we're outside of our comfort zone. Third, keep a success file. Create a simple folder, physical or digital, where you collect wins, positive feedback, and some milestones. And review it when that self-doubt creeps in. Fourth, talk to someone you trust. Whether it's a mentor, peer, or coach, sharing your experience normalizes it and can offer valuable perspective. And then fifth, take action anyway. Confidence often follows action. Say yes to the opportunity, even if you're unsure. Progress builds belief. Okay, so here's my quote of the day on imposter syndrome. Remember, even the people who invented the term imposter syndrome probably doubted if they were qualified to name it. I know we barely scratched the surface on this topic today, but as always, my hope is we got you thinking. And I hope you know you aren't alone. Most experience this self-doubt. Thanks for listening all. I'm Tony Volpicello. We are the Career Jigsaw. I know we aren't a great show, and I'm sorry about that. I'm simply faking it until I make it. And as always, thanks so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please hit that follow button so new listeners can discover us. Stay tuned for new episodes and be safe all.
The price